Good morning, my dear guinea pig. How are you feeling? A touch dizzy, perhaps? Yes, well, not exactly a surprise. You are precisely where I expected you would be. To think, yesterday you were so worried about meeting up and discussing my training schedule today. So concerned that I might not make it. And yet, here you are, stuck at home. Why, yes, I did anticipate this. Yesterday's experiment was rather arduous. Taxing for you. You see, my intention was to quantify the differences between human and umamusume brains. And of course to quantify how quickly a human brain could adjust to controlling the body of an umamusume. And the results were fascinating, to be clear, but this was an expected outcome. This was a grand test of your neuroplasticity. You see, such an extended and intensive bout in virtual reality is already rather taxing for most individuals, but especially when one is controlling a body that's unfamiliar. Now, I should inform you, I only initially intended to arrive for a period of about 5 minutes today, wherein we would discuss the barest basics of my training schedule, and then I would return to my research. However, you have interested me. Allow me to explain. If I'm going too fast for you, make sure to let me know. It is imperative that you understand what I am telling you. All right? So, to begin with, I'm going to pull up some of the results from yesterday. There we are. Now, these biometric readouts probably don't mean a lot to you. I would be surprised if they did. But they are genuinely fascinating to me because they entirely defy my initial expectations. You see, as far as the speed at which your brain adapted to the umamusume body, it was quite rapid. I expected we'd have to partner run in virtual reality for an extended period before you would adapt, but we didn't. Within a rather short span of time, you were controlling that body as though you were born in it, although you were quite clearly overwhelmed by your own speed. More to the point, it would appear that your levels of dopamine, serotonin, and cortisol are, well, they became quite stable while within virtual reality. And so today I'd actually appreciate the chance to perform some blood work and see if that has changed since then. I have a suspicion that it has. But we can worry about that later. You're still clearly unwell. It's just, well, it's quite strange, isn't it? For you, someone who is ostensibly a human man, existing within the body of an umamusume for any length of time would likely result in the experience of dysphoria. Realistically, logically, if anything, the experience should have been at least somewhat distressing. Now, perhaps such distress could be mitigated by the fact that first, it's not real, and second, we were not in virtual reality for a particularly long time. But the fact is, you not only did not experience, or at least clearly exhibit, signs of dysphoria or distress, but in fact, your mental state and all markers of mental well-being seemed to improve. And so I've decided, today I'm going to allocate a bit more time to you. We can discuss training schedules and all that when you're feeling up to it, but for now, I'd like to discuss a certain proposition with you. What's the proposition? You look scared. You look nervous. Well, don't. All right? I can assure you I have your best interests at heart today. Now then, eat this. Yes, this is an order. Eat it. It's strawberry flavored. I attempted to make it palatable, so. If you like, if it would make you feel better, I can take a few bites myself. I suppose you could call it a slushy of some kind. Well, I really have outdone myself with the taste. No, in truth, this is to help with the headache and the dizziness. It's my own creation. Highly effective. It should have you on your feet by the end of the day. I spent a significant portion of last night working on it. As soon as I saw your readings and started to comprehend what they meant, consider it a token of good faith. Now, eat. Why is it frozen? Oh. Well, that's because it contains certain proteins that require a specific temperature to activate. No, it's not alive. Not any more than a virus is alive or a lone organ is alive. It's just protein. Regardless, I expect you to finish the entire thing by the end of our conversation. Which, of course, brings us back to the matter at hand. My proposition for you. Keep eating. Good. You see, I've come to a particular suspicion, and I would like to verify it today. And presuming that suspicion is correct, I would like to assist you in a way that only I can. You see, when you became an umamusume within the bounds of virtual reality, you seemed quite pleased. You seemed tremendously happy, more so than one would expect. Now, I released that virtual reality simulation to the public with certain data collection terms added on. And so I've had the chance to see a few more examples from men, from women, from humans, from umas. And do you know what I noticed? Well, the vast majority of men experienced either a decline in their markers of mental well-being while within the simulation, or at best remained stable. And as for the women, well, they experienced no markers of dysphoria, but none of them adapted as quickly as you did. You, my trainer, are an anomaly. Keep eating. Good. Now continue. What I'm trying to say is that your response to the simulation, as far as your mental state is concerned, you are much more in line with that of the cisgender women who underwent the same simulation. And your ability to control an umamusume body was much more comparable to that of actual umamusume than to any of the humans. There was still clearly an adjustment period, and you were still clearly negatively impacted in the long run. But within the moment, within the bounds of virtual reality, you adapted and you enjoyed yourself. Yes? Well, thank you for being honest. Good girl. Yes, trainer, I did say good girl. I'll explain why in a moment. Keep eating. I swear. I'm taking a bite now. I need you in top form for tomorrow, so don't stop. Now, the reason I called you good girl is because I don't believe you're a man. Enough, enough, enough. I have no interest in what is in your pants. Are you familiar with the concept of being transgender? It's not a common phenomena, but certainly you've heard of it, right? Oh my goodness. Tell me, how exactly did being called a good girl make you feel? Was it a pleasant experience? If the answer is yes, then you are absolutely and without a doubt a transgender woman. I'm going to ask you one more time to stop arguing this point. It is an objective fact and an objective reality. If you want to be a woman, if being a woman causes substantial improvement to your mental well-being. If being referred to in the feminine is something you enjoy, you are a woman. That is that. I will not explain this to you again, because it is not a difficult concept to grasp. Is that understood? Good girl. Continuing onwards, I have an additional suspicion. You see, if you were just a transgender woman, then there are a variety of treatments you could undergo that would aid you in the future. You could go through hormone replacement therapy, obviously. You could train your voice if you wanted, or undergo any number of cosmetic surgeries if that truly was your wish. You could alter your presentation and your clothing. You could try a new name, new pronouns. All those things are so mundane, though, aren't they? They're passé. They've been done. You know? We know how they work. We know what they do. And they do a fine job. But, well, my dear guinea pig, I have always had a certain fascination with body modification. After all, in order to achieve the perfect physique and to maximize the potential of the umamusume body, one must have a perfect understanding of the body and its functions. And so, the capacity to modify one's body is a clear demonstration of that understanding. Take another bite. Good girl. I'm having one too. Because I deserve it for putting up with you. Now, I, as someone who is fascinated with the concept of modifying one's body and who wishes to master that art, would like to use you as my canvas. I can see the gears turning in your head. You're wondering what I could possibly mean. You're slightly afraid, but also intrigued, are you not? Well, here's the truth. Given the way your brain adapted within virtual reality, I believe that if ever there was a human candidate who could be ideally suited for a full transformation into an umamusume, it would be you. I seem to have lucked out and stumbled upon the absolute perfect trainer for me, the perfect guinea pig. If you would accept my terms, I will endeavor, with the full force of my own cognitive might, to enact your transition, not just into femininity, but into the life of an umamusume. I really have your attention now, don't I? That's the whole reason you decided to become a trainer, isn't it? You wanted to get closer to us, didn't you? You wanted to get closer to the one thing you thought you could never have. But now, you and I, we've both hit the jackpot. You happen to have stumbled upon the one individual who might possibly be able to enact such a transformation. And I have found the one person who would be most willing to undergo my experiments. Isn't that right? I can promise you this, any experiment I put you through will be for one of two ends. It will either be for the advancement of my own goals, that of achieving the pinnacle, or your own, a transition, the likes of which the world has never seen. So, my dearest, dearest guinea pig, do you consent to the idea? Will you be my trainer, my guinea pig, my confidant, and my greatest project? Second greatest. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Well, in that case, good girl. Of course. I never fully explained to you why I am so focused and emphatic on the use of the words good girl specifically. And it's because as soon as I began suspecting that you might be transgender, I did some research and I discovered something interesting. While it is not universally the case, a large proportion of the transgender population, particularly transgender women, respond incredibly positively to the words good girl, substantially more so than that of cisgender women. Now, the reason for this, I believe, is twofold. First off, is because positive reinforcement is provably the best sort of instruction and training that one can receive, and that the words good girl specifically are quite affirming to the gender. And so for a cis woman who is already secure in her gender and her presentation, it's middling as far as praise goes. But for one who is unused to such things, well, it means it's just that much more impactful. And so, from here on, any time you behave in a manner that is conducive towards the progression of either of our two primary goals, I shall reward you by praising you with the words, good girl. On a related note, take another bite. Good girl. And another. Good girl. You need to eat it before it melts, otherwise the proteins will denature. Denaturing, it's whatever. They'll stop working. So keep eating. Good girl. We're going to make an excellent team, I think. But for the time being, I'm going to ask you to rest for today. As I said, I'll need you in top form tomorrow. You can simply finish your slushy and rest in bed. And I will prepare for tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. You've become my new project and the new object of my fascination, so expect to see a lot of me for the next few days. Oh, you don't mind if I collect a few hairs from your hairbrush, do you? I might also steal your toothbrush. I'll buy you a new one. I need to collect some genetic information, as well as gather your physical baselines. That's the main project for the next few days, by the way. Any exercise you have me do, I'll expect you to do as well. Before I can begin modifying your physiology, I need to have a good understanding of your current physiology, you understand, yes? So, rest. We'll have a busy day of training tomorrow. We will. You and I. It's going to be an absolute pleasure working with you. Good girl.